Uno, dos, tres. Esta es mi Biblia. Es la palabra de Dios. Es la palabra inspirada e infalible de Dios. Es una lámpara a mis pies. Bienaventurados los que descubro quién soy. En las páginas contenidas en este documento. Esta es mi Biblia. In English, 1, 2, 3. This is my Bible. It is God's Word. It is the inspired, infallible Word of God. It is a lamp unto my feet. Blessed are those who hear the Word of God and keep it. I find out who I am in the pages contained herein. This is my Bible. Got you covered this time. I want you to lead it though, please. You need Biblia me? Ojo oro Ọlọ́run. Ojo Ọlọ́run. Tí ó ní mímísí rẹ̀. Tí kò sì lè dé bẹ̀jẹ̀. Ojo ìmọ́lẹ̀. Sí ẹsẹ̀ mi. Alábùkún na fún. Àwọn tó gbọ́. Ọ̀rọ̀ Ọlọ́run. Tí ó sì pamọ́. Nínú rẹ̀. Ni mo ti mọ̀. Ẹni tí èmi jẹ́. Èyí ni Bíbélì mi. Right, how is everyone doing today? Glad to hear it. I think other people had their mouths full, so they'll answer later maybe. So, will not be before you long. I mean that. Oh, last time it was you took too long. Today's message will be a little bit different. Now I'm going to start off with a disclaimer. You guys know that I'm the king of disclaimers. I want to up front say that as Jesus said, we are the salt and the light. We are supposed to have an effect on others. Salt brings out flavor. The light clears out darkness. That is what our job is. That's what we were commanded by Jesus to be and to do, correct? Yes. All right. That was not a suggestion by the Lord. It was a command. But my message today is titled, Worry About Yourself. So many times, we get caught looking around at everybody else. What do they have? What kind of car you get? What are they driving? Where are they working? How much do they make? That's the thing people figure out. Somehow or another, people become experts at figuring out what other people on the job make. We're always, what do they have over there? You ever go to a restaurant, you look around at everyone else and what they're getting. Every time the server comes by, is that my food? Oh, I was here before them people. Oh, so some of y'all not going to say nothing because y'all be the ones doing it. And get no amens there, no agreements there. But you're looking around. I know I came in before them because they was behind me. And there's more people in their party and they got their food first. Right. But worry about your own food. Maybe you order something that takes longer to make. Or maybe something happened while they were making it. They had to start over. Do you want the food that fell on the ground? Worry about your own meal. Pastor always says, when people get blessed around you, look at your own blessings. Sometimes everybody on the job gets a raise, but instead of you being thankful and being blessed about it, you say, well, everybody got one. Maybe everybody got one because of you. Because God wanted to bless you so the people around you get blessed. Because that happens sometimes. There's collateral damage or collateral blessings. When Jonah was on the boat and the storm was coming because he disobeyed God, those other people had nothing to do with it. They lost cargo, was afraid for their lives because of something Jonah did. Everybody around you might get blessed just by your presence, and that should be our goal, is that when I'm around, blessings are around. What was it, Elisha, that the handkerchief that blessed somebody else? That's the kind of power we should be wanting to walk in, is that people that are around me get blessed because of me. Amen. Oh, you got blessed at work? Good. You're welcome. That should be our mentality. Amen. We're so busy looking at everybody else. They got a raise last year. We're not talking about last year. We're talking about now. Amen. You should be okay with that. We sing a song, blessed to be a blessing. But are you really? We have to worry about ourselves. Jesus was speaking once. He had just healed a demon-possessed man that was mute. But his haters, those Pharisees that were always around looking for an opportunity to discredit or devalue him, his haters said, he's only doing these works by the power of the devil. That's why he's able to get the devils out of people, because he himself is in league with the devil. Jesus said, the devil can't be against the devil. Like a house can't be against itself. A kingdom can't be against itself. And the Israelites have a history of knowing that. But in Luke chapter 11:21, while he was talking, he said, when a strong man, fully armed, guards his own house, his possessions are safe. Are you guarding your own house? Not against burglars, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Are you safe? He said, when a strong man fully armed guards his own house, not guards his neighbor's house. But so many times we're looking at our neighbor's house, our neighbor's blessings, ignoring your own. There's that saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. You know why? Because they watered and cleaned it and put work into it. You don't. So the grass is greener where it gets taken care of at. Guard your house, guard your spirit, guard your energy. Don't worry about who is on each side of you. Sometimes you have to stop looking left and right and just focus on you. One of the stories that this church goes over a number of times is the story of Peter on the boat. When the disciples are on the boat, Peter gets out of the boat. Jesus is walking on waters towards the boat where the disciples are at. The disciples see him. They're afraid. Like, oh, it's a ghost. Then they're like, no, it's the Lord. Peter says, Lord, if it's you, call out to me. Peter comes out and he walks on water. Now everybody focuses on, and I'm going to focus on it later, but everybody focuses on Peter's failure. Nobody focuses on Peter's faith. Peter is doing a miracle right here, something that if we all go try to do that, without the faith Peter and Jesus had operating, we're going to fall in the water, and for some of us that can't swim, might drown if no one saves us. And we also gloss over those other disciples that were in the boat that are quiet. They don't even have no lines in the story outside of being afraid. But Peter, while he's walking on the water, while he's successfully performing a miracle, he starts to look at the waves and the effects of the wind, and he starts to sink. He starts to drown. While Peter had his eyes on the Lord, he was fine. He was successfully performing a miracle. But when he looked at the effects of the wind, he failed. Instead of the waves that get us to drown, your waves might be the uprising of the coronavirus numbers. That might be causing you to drown. Instead of walking in a blessing. You're checking, you get the Wood TV 8 alert on your phone. Oh, 600 people got it. 16 deaths today. Oh man, in New York it's like this. Oh man, in Miami it's like this. And some of us know these coronavirus numbers more than we know our kids' birthdays, but that's another topic. You might be looking at another video of an unarmed black person getting murdered by the police. Might get you off your path, might get your eyes off of the Lord. And those two things they love to shove in your face this season on the news. Coronavirus, black people dying. They love to show that. They don't show any videos of white people dying. White people do get killed. I know that we might not think that because it's never on the news. But white people die, Hispanics die, Asians die. A lot of people die. It's not black people don't have the monopoly on getting killed. The news loves to focus on every dumb thing the president and Joe Biden do every time they say something stupid. They're old men. They're going to say, they're in their 70s. You know, some people in their 70s, they start to slip a little bit. They start to say some things. Yeah, no one's in here, so I'm not talking about anybody here. So none of y'all got any grandparents that say some stuff and y'all be looking around like, that didn't make sense. Okay, I'm making sure I'm not the only one that's been around an old person in this room. Y'all, like I was trying to take a shot at somebody. I'll bring some old people around you. Let's listen to them talk. Every dumb thing that they say or do, they stutter, they say something, they put I instead of he, and mistake a location or a person or a word. The news loves to have that story. We laugh about it, all these different things. The news has all the time in the world for black people dying, coronavirus, and dumb things these 70-year-old plus men do. But the news has no time for the thousands of missing black women across the country. No time for the thousands of missing Hispanic children that this country locked in cages and then lost thousands of them. Some of you don't even know that. They literally lost track of thousands of children. You have these children, and then the next day you don't. That didn't make the news. More children have disappeared this year than what have died from the coronavirus. And I do not want anyone to say that I'm thinking the coronavirus is a joke and it's not serious. But more children in this country have disappeared than have died from the coronavirus. Where's the news coverage on that? There was a breaking thing about how children are being smuggled through websites. You know, there's something like a used pillow, and the used pillow costs $10,000 and it has the missing child's name on it. Because who's buying a pillow for $10,000? They're literally, and it's not Michael Jackson's old pillow either. It's stock pillow number 5, but it'll say like Kayla, and there's a missing Kayla, and then it just happens to coincide with all of that. But there's no news coverage on that, but they'll spend you 30 minutes of Dr. Fauci and arguing with President Trump, and then Joe Biden said this dumb thing and all these different things, and here's some breaking news: a black person's killed. Let's watch this. Don't hide your children. They just show it to you. I know people that don't even want to see that anymore. Like, they show it so much. Nobody wants to see that anymore. But they definitely have time to go over that stuff. But not one word about all these missing people around the country. I mean, they let it be a story for a little bit about the children getting separated at the border, which I didn't think makes sense. Like, if the goal is you don't want people here, kick them all out. Why are we keeping children and locking them up? I'm going to stop. I'm going to continue on that topic. But let's continue. And speaking of the coronavirus, it's funny how everybody has become an infectious disease expert overnight. Everybody and their mamas has all the facts about viruses, diseases, wearing masks, and if you wear a mask, you'll die, but I don't understand why nurses don't drop dead after their shift. Like, I feel like if the way that people are talking on social media about the dangers of masks, the parking lot at Blodgett should just be nurses on the ground dead. Because they're wearing them for 8-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour shifts. Y'all don't want to wear them to go to Menards for 15 minutes. It's just funny how everyone became a race relation and historian overnight. They can say all the facts about black people in America, and it's their fault, they're this, and they have all the facts. People that never graduated high school now are going to tell me about 5G towers. People that used to copy their homework from me, now they're going to tell me about infectious diseases. Can you spell infectious, first of all? We need to worry about ourselves sometimes. We have to stop focusing on I'm not trying to say put your head in the sand and act like nothing is going on. You should definitely be aware of the world around you. But you have to take care of yourself first. Our prayer life needs to be where it needs to be for us to where we need to be. Yeah, your prayers have to be for yourself too. And not just for some money and a new car or a new job or some possessions. Prosperity doesn't just mean financially. When's the last time you prayed for your health when you weren't sick? When's the last time you prayed for your children when they weren't doing the wrong thing? Or you're just not for safety because you're scared of the world? But after you pray for something, what do? We have to start to believe in it, first of all. We all know that part, but we also need to keep praying for it. Praying for the growth to be ready for what you prayed for. Praying and thanking the Lord. Now, sometimes we are told in the American church that to keep praying for something means that we don't have enough faith. I already prayed for it once. It's good. God's got it. I'm just thankful. I'm praying God for thank you. It don't say that in the Bible, though. That's what we've adapted that in the American church. If you keep praying for it, that means you don't have enough. Where's your faith? Why are you praying? You prayed already. Why are you back here up at the altar again? We prayed for this last week. Get out of here. Some of us wouldn't talk to the woman at the well because of how she was acting, because of her lifestyle. We would have told her to go get saved first. Get out that dude's house first before you come up in here. You got to live right if you want to be here. But who did Jesus say he came for? The sick or the people that were feeling good? Sick. You don't see an ambulance driving around with healthy people in the back. Nobody uses the ambulance as an Uber. But the Bible talks about prayers of petition, right? Has anyone ever heard or seen a petition before? You used to get those weirdos that would run up on you when you get out the store trying to get people to sign a petition. They're going to sign a petition so we can get a casino downtown Grand Rapids. I don't want to sign that. That would be terrible if we had a casino in downtown Grand Rapids. Everybody would lose. At least they have to drive an hour to go lose their money. I don't want them losing their money downtown. Or now they have them online. Click here. I'm not clicking nowhere. I don't know where this link's about to take me. Click here. And you ever see a petition with one signature? No, because it's pointless. Try turning a petition with one signature in. That's not a petition. That's an autograph. One of the definitions of the word petition is to beg. Can you beg if you only ask one time? Now so a lot of us in here have children. We inherit some begging. The begging don't be one time. Mom, can I go outside? That's not begging. Mom, can we do this? No, that's not begging. That's not petitioning. It doesn't mean that you don't have faith because you keep asking. It means that you want it, right? Because my kids, they have this whole thing set up. They have a meeting, a secret meeting together. And they'll say, Gabby, you go ask Dad. Because if you ask Gabby, it's more likely that he'll say yes. It's not true. My yes and my no are based off of the determinations and the facts around it. Oh, now if I bring up my childhood, such a bad life you had. All right. See, when Gabby gonna be up here preaching, talking about, man, I had asked Dad for something and he said no. Oh my gosh. So let me give you some biblical examples about how praying more than once is not an example of not having faith. So you don't think that I'm coming up with some new age style of preaching. Daniel prayed 3 times a day while facing Jerusalem on his knees. Daniel, this is Daniel chapter 6, verse 10. It said he had windows open towards Jerusalem. He got down on his knees 3 times a day, prayed and gave thanks to God. Now he would face Jerusalem, get on his knees and pray. What does that sound like in today's time? Muslims, they get down on their knees, they face the direction, and then they pray. They didn't make that up. No, that's not a negative knock against a Muslim. They didn't make that up. Daniel was doing this all the time. This was his custom. Daniel chapter 10, verse 10 through 3. Well, that didn't come out good. A hand touched me and set me trembling down on my hands and knees. He said, Daniel, you who are highly esteemed, consider carefully the words I am about to speak to you and stand up, for I have now been sent to you. And when he said this to me, I stood up trembling. Then he said, do not be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. But the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me because I was detained there with the king of Persia. This is spiritual warfare that this angel is telling, this messenger is telling Daniel about. Now, he said, I heard you the first day, but I got held up. And I got your 21 subsequent prayers. Some of us like, oh, we would have stopped that one. We didn't get the answer. But what does the Bible say? Keep praying. Yeah. What was Daniel's example? Every day, 3 times a day. He didn't stop after day 1. There was something holding the answer back. Now, I want us to take notice of Daniel here. Now, we're quick in the American church to do the Daniel fast, but y'all don't want a Daniel pray. Every time that Pastor Cheryl brings up the Daniel fast, I'm like, make your own fast. Make the Cheryl fast. Make the Alushagun fast. Daniel didn't have no Daniel to look at. He set the terms and the expectations. He said, I'm not going to eat I'm only going to eat fruit. And at the end of the time period, I'm going to be better than the people that have been eating all the food. Because of God, not because of Daniel, not because of the routine. You think people were going around spitting in mud trying to heal people from their eyesight like Jesus did? No, there was no routine to it. It was faith that did it. Daniel's faith in the fast is what did it, not the routine of eating fruit. What if you're allergic to fruit? How are you going to do the Daniel fast? You're allergic to apples and broccoli. How are you going to do the Daniel fast? Let's look at another mighty man of God. In 2 Corinthians 12, verse 7 through 9. This is Paul talking. Therefore, in order to keep me from becoming conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. Now, a lot of times people will wonder about what is this that Paul is talking about, this thorn in his flesh. There's been theories about that his eyes were damaged from when he had the vision when he saw Jesus. And then when he was healed, his eyesight was bad. But to me, that doesn't sound like how God heals people, where he partial heals them. And Paul never said, Ananias partially healed my eyes. It's not as good as they used to be. Paul gave us every other detail that was going on. Why didn't he bring that up? And then he clearly says, a thorn in my flesh, comma, a messenger of Satan to torment me. Eyesight's not a messenger of Satan sent to torment someone. That's bad eyesight. 3 times a day, 3 times, I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. I want to focus on that part. This isn't even in my notes. My grace is sufficient, for my power is made perfect in weakness. For you that see me today, and people that know me, they know that I public speak every chance I get. But if you rewind to 2007, I was fearful of public speaking. The first time I gave a speech was at Ottawa Hills. My knees were shaking behind the podium. I'm glad that no one could see it. It wasn't a clear podium like this. But with God, it was made perfect in my weakness. Because if I was just great all the time, I'd say, oh, I'm such a great orator. Yeah, look it up. That's what I am, orator. I have pictures right next to it. But no, it's because of God that I have this gift, not myself. So Paul prayed to God once for him to have this messenger to stop tormenting him. Nothing happened. Paul prayed twice for this messenger to stop tormenting him. Then Paul prayed thrice for this messenger of Satan to stop tormenting him. And then God answered him. Keep praying until God gives you an answer. Until that blessing becomes manifested. And then be fine with the answer. Because that's the part that we don't like to walk in the American church work, because God is our magical genie. So we don't like the answer. So we'll keep on praying. We'll pray a different way. We'll do something different. Instead of, Paul doesn't bring this up again after this. Right. Paul's like, all right, that's it. This is my path. He might have prayed for strength. He stopped praying for that messenger to leave him. And for a messenger, what does it have to be for a messenger? A message. That message that messenger had was tormenting Paul. Paul didn't just pray, say, oh, my prayer's up there, I'm good. I prayed once, I've got faith, I'm believing it. He didn't say that he didn't have enough faith to pray again. Elijah prayed 7 times for rain in 1 Kings chapter 18. He didn't just say, oh, one prayer got it covered, it's going to rain soon. I prayed already. Look at all these things that these men prayed for. These are some of the greatest men in the Bible. At their moment of need, they were worrying about themselves. They had prayers about themselves to help their personal situation out. And it goes without saying that these men had responsibilities and cared and helped so many thousands and then millions with written documentation, others, right? But they worried about themselves first. They had to take care of themselves. Couldn't Paul have, there's a story in the Bible about, I think it's in Acts, it's not in my notes here, that there was a judge, it was the judge Felix, that was waiting for Paul to give him a bribe. Paul could have bribed him and got out of prison, but that wouldn't have helped Paul's mission if he's known for giving bribes to judges, right? It's okay to be selfish sometimes. The second greatest commandment per what Jesus said was to love others as you love yourself. Now we tend to gloss over the part of loving yourself. We look at it as love God and love others. But he said love others as you love yourselves. If you don't love yourself, it's impossible to love others properly. You might have affection for people. You might have a sort of love to them because you want to receive something. But you can't love them properly if you don't have a love for yourself. What do they always tell people that are in bad breakups? Like, focus on you. Don't get in another relationship. Don't rush. Take care of you. Have some you time. Then get into another relationship. On an airplane, what do they tell you when they're going over the oxygen thing? If there's turbulence or there's thing and the oxygen mask fall, what do they tell you to do with the oxygen mask? Even if you have babies with you. Put your own mask on first. Well, what about the babies? They're babies. They can't do it. Why do they tell you to put the mask on yourself first? I have a baby right here. You're more effective. You have to take care of yourself first. Because the first inclination as a parent is to take care of your child. So people would put the mask on the baby and get them oxygen and make sure they're good. And then they pass out because there's no air. You have to take care of yourself first before you take care of others. In the hospital, when you have children, as in you just birthed a child, they tell mothers that when they go home, that if they get stressed out with the baby crying, to put the baby safely in a crib or any sort of safe space, and then go in the other room to calm down. Why do they say that? The baby's crying. Someone stop the baby from crying. It's loud. So you don't choke the baby or throw the baby up against the wall, which people have done. You have to worry about yourself Because if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot properly take care of others. You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to wear yourself out. And then you're not going to be any good to any other people. Because you're so stressed out. Colossians 1:9 says, we have not stopped praying. Paul is telling the church in Colossae, I haven't stopped praying for you guys. But this is Paul. He has a personal relationship with Jesus. Couldn't he just say, well, I prayed for the church in Colossae. They're good now. Because one prayer gets it done, right? He said, I have not stopped praying for you guys. The Bible says pray without ceasing, but some of us are ceasing to pray. Now, some people are praying for the wrong thing. And my mom just mentioned that when she was doing her testimony. You're praying for that man or woman that you shouldn't have, or that someone else is. Praying for a job that you shouldn't have. Praying for some money you will not be wise with. And then sometimes hopefully this is geared towards our young people. Sometimes they pray for people, a man or woman that have shown some potential. That should have been in quotation marks. Because people love when someone shows some potential. My advice would be, don't fall in love with potential. I'm actually not a fan of when people use that word, oh, they have potential in any regard. They say that about young people, like, oh, that young man has potential. The word potential means that it's not moving. Yeah, static. They might go somewhere, they might not. And then the inverse of that is kinetic. Get someone that's kinetic, someone that's moving, someone that's going somewhere, someone that's going on the path that you want to be on. Not someone that you have to drag them on that path. Or that, because a lot of times when you're dragging somebody, you end up collapsing while you're trying to drag them. Don't fall in love with potential. Hydrogen is one atom away from being water. H2O. It's one atom away from being, it has the potential to be water. You can sit there trying to drink hydrogen if you want, hoping that it gains potential. An example I always do with my wife and I is we say that we have to stop expecting oranges to produce apple juice. Because at a certain point, it's your fault that these oranges that have always produced orange juice for you, you keep getting upset that they aren't producing apple juice for you. We have to worry about ourselves. Worry about yourself. Then worry about those that are around you. Take care of your home. As Jesus said, guard your home and keep it safe. Then worry about your neighborhood. Worry about the people around you. If you are not in the right position, you are not going to be the best to help other people. Thank you, God, for the blessing to the reading of the word.